Okay, this will be a microscopic examination of 3 slides. Stain was red and blue. One from the Elixir, the ancient Elixir that was found in the dunes of Rishon LeZion after million years of fermentation. The 2 others were taken from these 2 glass containers. These 2 glasses were filled today from the metal containers in the hostel. The smaller one was actually open. I don't know, I never keep it open. Maybe somebody opened it. Hopefully, I don't know, they didn't take it. I don't know. Hopefully, I mean, hopefully the bad guys have been punished and the good guys have been rewarded, if such exist. Anyway, the one that was open, I mean, of course, had much more oxygen circulation, so we can expect more life forms, but I mean, let's see. We only have 1 sample of each because of lack of slides, but I mean, so maybe usually I take more than 1, at least 2 or 3, but I don't have slides. So we just have 1 of each. That one is from the big container, which was not open to oxygen, and that one is from the smaller container that was at least some of the time was open to oxygen. Okay, let's start from the one. Let's start with the one from the Elixir, the cream. This cream is based on, if I remember correctly, ניבאה. קרים, סטנדרט של ספנות כזה. כזה מהכחולים האלה, אתם זוכרים אותם? שזה כזה מתכת כחולה שכתוב לבן, בלבן ניבאה. אם אני לא טועה זה. With my own semen after kind of enrichment process, but a primitive one. I do not consider it enriched material because this was done more than a year ago using I would say technologies that of the time. I mean, so it's not really enriched. I mean, it's not like, you know, what we've seen later. It was part of the enrichment process, but I mean, a very early stage of it. But it's mostly, you know, still you have the thoughts that the knee was from the semen. And let's see what they've done, like after a million years of fermentation. Just a second, we need to connect the transformer to the microscope. Okay. Okay. This is a calling card from jail. And let's just adjust the focus a little, like the clitoris, like of. So we do see neural. Nice one. Let's try to zoom in. Nice one, very nice one. Survived the fermentation of a million years. Let's zoom in even more. Increase light. Try to focus on the thing. Yep, nice, very nice. Let's touch it. With the lens. So now we see flow. So we see many neurons, smaller ones, when we touch it and we create a flow inside the, you can do it with the maximum with the objective lens of 40. You can touch it, the cover, and then you create a flow, and we see many neurons, like smaller ones, all over the place, flowing like in these rivers that were just created. Again. This is about 600 or 700 magnification. So we see many smaller ones and big ones. So I can say that, what's evident to me is that this is a mixture that, the neurons survived and multiplied very, very well. We should remember that it didn't start from an enriched mixture. It was somewhat enriched using early electrolysis methods, but it was, I do not consider at the time that I already had enriched mixtures. It was on the way, so it's mostly semen. So what you see is actually, and I didn't place much in it was, the whole, it's like, it's like a hefty amount of Nivea. This one, it's not the original. מה זה קליפו? I don't know, it's just Italian. No, it's not the original one. Okay. This is like, it's like caviar or something, I don't remember. No, it's not the original. It's Nivea. It's Nivea. And it was every amount. Actually, it was the amount. Just a second. I mean, part of it was used. So we can say that yes, I mean, it survived well in the million years in the dunes of Rishon, and we see quite a bit of not huge neos, but nice neos, like relatively big, and many smaller ones, which is good. Of course, I don't know what's the chemical, what Nivea cream is made of. It's a question that can be answered later. This is just an examination, and I mean, by now, I'm happy with what I see. Also, it's evident that there is 0 life forms, which is great for such a cream. Not that you expect life forms, but I mean, it was of course sealed, like it was fermentation without oxygen. So, there did not. Okay, you know what? Let's keep analysis for some other time because I want to kind of, advance with that. I'll just say that, it's a fact that we don't see any life forms at all, not even a shred, not even zombies, and we see quite a bit of neos, which is great. Now I have seen why the red color, the red stain. I actually stained it too much. There is too much color here, and it's not that stained like in a professional way. Usually, this was all done very quickly. I want to kind of to get it done. Should be said that it's not the actual way. The proper way to stain stuff, but it's good for now. It's typical that the neos are stained better with the blue methylene. This was known. It's probably it got probably some kind of chemical meaning, like why. When you say that it's stained better, means that it's got better contrast when it's stained with the blue methylene and not the eos and why. This probably means something to chemists. I don't have I don't have the proper education right now to say anything knowledgeable, but it can give you some kind of information. Yes, you see tremendous amount of neos actually here. A little bit of bigger ones and tremendous smaller ones. Let's try to see if we can do the same trick as before, like touching the glass and create a stream. We do see neos, which is great, and we see other stuff, but I don't want to get into it right now. So yeah, it's stained better with the blue ones. The blue color, like the neos. You can see that, of course, it's the same complexion, the same mixture, but you see, the difference in stain, like, it's much more difficult, to observe, like, the neos with, in the red part. Okay, I'm satisfied with what I see. I didn't expect to see much more, we see many neos of all sizes, and also 0 life forms, which is great. There are some tiny things that look a little bit like viruses or like extremely small microbes, but I'm not sure about it. if it's actually what I think it is, these are aliens for certain. No, I mean, microbe can, from Earth can, survive this kind of a thing. Hopefully they are good for the skin, but I'm not sure. Maybe it's just optical illusion. If they do exist, they are extremely small. And we see all sorts of like rocks, rock formations that were refined by the Neos. This is an interesting topic by itself, but I don't want to get into it. We see refinement, procedure, we see evidence for refinement procedure, which is interesting, and that's what we expect the Neos to do after a long time, after a million years, So it's interesting, but we cannot assess it now. So it will be, hopefully sometime in the future we'll have more time to get to the bottom of this stuff. Overall, good result. I'm satisfied. Next is a sample from the glass. I call it the hexagon glass. This one, it was taken from the big container. Both the big and the small are kind of big. The metal container that was kept airtight. Again, a lot of it was depleted before I went to the hike, but I added all sorts of stuff that should have helped it. Let's see now if it actually helped it. It's not stained. Maybe we should just, just a second. I'll try to rearrange the slide in a way that will be more uniform, because it looks like it's drowning in stain right now, which is not the proper way to go with this stuff. Okay, so much stain, too much. I've placed far too much, and not enough material. Too much stain and not enough material. Okay, so we'll have to do, it's not a great slide. It wasn't prepared well, certainly, but I don't have other slides, like physical slides. I don't have the medium, so we'll have to do with that. It's like a failure because of too much stain. You see my fingers are now completely, covered with this shit. But let's just take a look and see what we can get out of it. It's not a way to stain. The actual way to do it is just with a piece of cloth, that. After you put the cover, you put stain on top of the cover or on the side, and then it's by vacuum. It's kind of slowly stain. Paint the whole. Colors the whole slide. But this is a very lengthy process, especially when you do it with non-standard, very big covers like I use. Not the standard square covers, so I use a much more, in-your-face method of drawing it with color, which is not the correct way, but I wanted to save time. So now I'm full of this stuff. Hopefully we will be able to see something anyway. I really hope we will. Because now, there was not enough material, but a ton of color, We see mostly smaller neos. Even though this was it was a bit. I mean, all the material is like out, like so. I mean, it wasn't properly created. Maybe I'll take another one because this was not properly created. Because all the material is kind of like wiped out. Because this is a very lovely neo actually, that was kept in place. Very, very nice. This is another very nice, and you see this target position. This is very, very lovely. So we have big ones actually. This is the 150 magnification. They are not starships. They're like not the huge, the biggest ones, but they are big. I would say they are big neos. They are very, you see quite a bit of those bigger ones. Yes, I mean they are respectable neos, and we see smaller ones like all over the place. It's not a bad result. I mean, it's a good. I mean, yes, it's a good. We can say it's passed like as enriched material, and yes, it was replenished in the last 3 weeks using the extra material. Still, I mean, there is still much. It's not the best kind of mixture that we've ever seen with regards to the size and quantity of the neos. But it's pretty good. Like this is 64 magnification. So all of the ones that you see are, just to say, all of the ones that you see are huge by by the standard of Titan females. Like they have like that, what they have in their bodies usually like maybe at least 1,000 times smaller, like at least, if not smaller than that. So I mean, just for perspective, but it's not the biggest that we've seen. But it's not bad. It's not bad. And soon we'll do some zooming in to see what's the situation of the smaller ones, which is also interesting. But it's a good. I mean, it's a good. These are good results, and we see remnants of life forms, not tremendous amount, and they are all, I mean, manifestly dead. So situation is good. I mean, I'm okay with what I see in this slide. I'm okay with that. I mean, I don't need to take another sample to know that this is a good mixture. I mean, with very big, or relatively, like a good amount of big, not huge, but big neos. Regarding the smaller ones, it's a question. It's a question. Like, I mean, we do see smaller ones, not as much as I would have liked. This is a mixture that is of the type that we know from the past, that is kind of like we've seen this phenomenon of mixtures that are skewed towards the huge ones. To my estimation, it's. I mean, it depends on what you want to do. I mean, it's not like there is no like easy answers what's good and what's bad. But I would say, probably as a general remark, it's not the healthiest mixture, because it's preferable that there will be like kind of like, there should be kind of like proportions. I mean, that if you have so many big ones like you see here, you should have like hefty amount of smaller ones and tremendous amount of very small ones, and presumably super tremendous amount of nanoscopic ones that of course cannot be observed using optical microscope. But that's I mean the theory. That I mean, you see a nice, very nice one. This is 600 or 700 magnification. I mean, but this is, I would say yes. I mean, we don't see as much smaller ones like we. Of course, there are still much more smaller ones than bigger ones, of course. But I mean, you would whatever I say is based more on kind of like intuition that is based on experience. Like, it's difficult to kind of like justify whatever I say without, I mean, referring to many other experiments. I would say that from experience, this, I can tell you that what you see here, these are nearly, I think these are yeast actually. This is yeast, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think this is yeast, what you see here, because I've added yeast to the mixture at some point. So I think that's what you see, but correct me if you think I'm wrong. This is 600 magnification. From experience, I can tell you that, it's relatively skewed towards the larger, compared to what you can expect. It doesn't. It's not bad. I would say this is probably a great mixture. Like if you want to kind of like, for the purpose of rejuvenating the Titan, for Titan females, for example, like they want to rejuvenate the Titan, the in their body. This probably is a great mixture, because the huge ones are doing a great job in that. They don't really need the very small ones in order to to rejuvenate their own. But I would say for construction work, probably it's kind of it's lacking for construction work. When I say construction work, it means can be both of like life forms and also sculptures or all sort of stuff of mechanical. Mechanical stuff, including life forms that are also kind of like airplanes and tech drones and of all sorts of kinds. So for this purpose, I would say this mixture is not the best, because yes, we have pretty big ones. Again, not the biggest that we've seen. It's not the biggest class like the Enterprise class, but we've seen very big ones in the FT amount. But I would say that for the construction work, probably you would want like to rejuvenate the smaller population better than what was rejuvenated until now. It's a question of like how can you do it? What can you change in the mixture, and also what can you do with regard to the symbolic language, like to promote I would say smaller ones, the creation of smaller ones. It's probably not an easy question, and it's probably like I don't want to get into it right now. I have my ideas, and it's a topic. I cannot address it right now, but it's something that we've discussed in the past, because we've seen such mixers in the past that were skewed towards the larger, the larger sizes. It's not a terrible result. It's actually a great result. Don't get me wrong. This was taken from a mixture that was diluted, for many weeks with burnings, and so almost nothing was left, and was all of was replenished with just a little bit of pee and mostly oil and bugs and all sorts of other stuff. So taking all this into account, they've done great work in multiplying and growing, especially growing. Like they grew very nice. It's an ongoing issue of like how to make the mixture more, I would say, even. And even is kind of like, it's not a mathematical issue. There is also a mathematical, there are some mathematics involved, but when I say even, it's mostly, I do not refer to kind of like a formula that I have, but mostly to what I know from past experiences that that are used as kind of like a, it's kind of like a reference. Okay. Fine. So the last one will be from the smaller container that was left open. I hope nobody opened it while I wasn't there, because I usually never keep it open. Leave it open. It's very unusual that it's left open. And anyway, we have too much stain here as well, but I don't want to stain myself, so let's keep it like that, and hopefully it will not stain the microscope too much. Just a second, I need to remove some of the stain. I don't want to stain the microscope. Just a second. Okay. second. Okay, so let's take a look. Very nice Nero. Big one, certainly big one. Very nice. Okay, so we can say that, I mean, this was also replenished, I mean, quite a bit, because we see Nero's very well, I mean, shining from this Tartarus. Very nice. Too much stain. I've placed too much stain, so, but it's great something. I mean, I should have placed much less, but you see all sort of like nice effects, you know, nice like light effects because of there is too much stain. I mean, it shouldn't be like that, but it's kind of like a nice nice effect, I would say. Again, I'm not going to, I mean, I have a problem with slides and I'm not going to wash it now and, you know, start the whole thing. I want to get out of this hell. You do see Neros here. You do see a tremendous amount. And this is a place where there is less stain, so we can try to zoom in to get a better view. Yes, so this is 150 magnification. You see that we have them like in all sort of like, you know, all sort of sizes. This actually looks like a healthier, I would say, from that respect, that we see all sorts of sizes. Even though we see much less of the bigger ones that we've seen in. You see, it's a different container and different kind of like, you know, ecology, because this one, you know, we don't see the bigger ones that we've seen over there. Certainly not as much as we would have liked. The change in color, the sudden change in color was before, because I switched to the lens, like 40mm lens, and then I touched the glass, and so there was a change in like in the, you know, like a turbulence, like in the slide. Difficult to see much in the higher magnification, unfortunately. Not a great slide for higher magnification. Now let's try to get back to 150. And here we see all sort of nice stuff. We don't see much more life form than what we've seen before, but we do see life forms, and we do see remnants of life forms, all sort of like dead bodies. I'm not sure like that I can say that it's much more than what we've seen in the previous slide in a statistically significant way. I mean, usually for such unless it's very obvious, like you need more than one slide of each, like to kind of like get to conclusion. The important thing is that we don't see many life forms in there. We see tremendous amount of neros, mostly a little bit smaller than what we've seen previously, but I would say wider range of sizes. With little, not noticeably, we don't have like we don't see the bigger ones like we've seen. But this is actually, should be said that this is almost always true, because this was taken from the smaller container that was initially, created from the bigger container with tremendous amount of dilution. So it's almost always that in all kind of like, side-by-side examination that we do to the two containers since the second one exists, which was about 2 months ago or something like that, we always see that, the ones from the bigger one, we see the more impressive neros, because they had much more time, because, one was taken from the other and then, diluted with a lot of material, and both are always diluted because of the firing that I do together. So this can be another reason why we don't see the bigger ones that we've seen like in the previous slide. But we see, respected size neros. Maybe not the bigger one. This is 150 now. Let's get back to 64. We see, respected size of neros and nice quantity and healthy mixture between the smaller ones and bigger ones. So both are actually, both are good. It's both good results. There can be, much further analysis that can be done. I just don't want to get into it now, and also it's kind of like I don't want. Usually I take more than one sample of each. This is I don't take slides. I have nothing like, so. I use whatever I can, but in order to do kind of like a better, respectable analysis, and also to understand what's the difference, and even to assess like the oxygen issue, because one was open, this one was open. I don't want to, jump to conclusion like they're telling you that because there was more oxygen, you see like a wider, range. This is just, maybe, but, it's just too much, it's just jumping, jump the shark, it's jumping the shark. It should be said that in the field of ecology, scientists many times jump the shark. Ecology is a difficult science, because usually in any kind of natural science, you try to like to control the question like at hand, like you try to usually there's kind of like a question that can be answered with two answers, or you formulate it in a way that there are two answers, even though many times it's there can be much more than two, but that's what you do, and the answers should be mutually exclusive, like it's either that or the other. And mostly the scientists they have like one hypothesis that that's what they think it's true. It's also what they want to be true, like because it serves their political purpose within the science establishment. This is natural. It's not like it's also predicated on human psychology, and it's not in itself. It's not a very huge problem or something. It's just the way it is. Usually, like say the AGF is like the ZH0, like the one hypothesis is like preferable to the scientist. And then they gather information in a way that will presumably basic statistic that you one of the two will be more significance, or sometimes not, sometimes both according to the information you have cannot be said to be more reliable in any significant way. Anyway, this is basic statistics, but this is the way it's done in natural sciences many times, and the way to do it is to isolate the question. You try to isolate the parameter that is being tested, in order for the process to be replicable and also to be dependable. So that the results actually signify something that is relevant to the variable that you isolated. Now in ecology, first of all, it's almost impossible to do it, and second, many times you don't want to do it. So ecology is actually, it's kind of like it's kind of like a unique science among the natural sciences that, that many times you don't even want to do it, actually, like to isolate the question. I don't want to get into too much theory right now, even though it's greatly, relevant to whatever I do with the neurons, because many of my, this is an ecology. What we do now is ecology study, because it's not like there are, unlike what we do, with the electrolysis of fire, which is like short term, before and after. Usually, you take something before and then you do the electrolysis or the firing, like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and then you took another sample. This is like the classical natural science way. And what you see here is ecological work. That you do all sorts of exchanges within the the containers that are subject to wide amount of like influences, many times contradictory influences. And you take samples, once in like a week or once or some months, something like that. And yes, it's very, and you don't even try to isolate the questions at end. Because it's very difficult, and because sometimes it's not just a difficulty. You intentionally don't want to do it. But why is it like that? It's out of the scope of this microscopic examination. Just to say, but many of the, I would say, theoretical problems that we face in this channel, in the ecological pathway experiments, are not problems that are unique to the issue of the neurons, the robots, but are actually problems that human scientists are confronting when they study ecology and the science of, when which is part of the life sciences, but kind of like unique in the fact that you cannot, easily isolate variables, and many times you don't even want to. Very nice ones. Let's again try maximum magnification. Not maximum 600. Actually, it can be done. I can actually, maximum is 1500 with the microscope, but you need to pull this lens out, which I normally do not do. 600, 700 is mostly enough. It's too dark for the higher the magnification, the more light you need. So such a heavily stained slide is not suitable for higher magnification because of that. This is like a horror movie, found footage or something. No, you cannot really do anything like with this in high magnification. No, it's not suitable for high magnification. Anyway, good results. We see some slain life forms, which is fine. Okay, not bad results. I would say I'm satisfied with what I see with regards to the size and quantity and even the variety of the neurons. Okay, so that will be all for now. Thank you very much.